Hello and welcome to another episode of the Spiritual Workshop. My name is Surjo Bhattacharjee and this is another Untold Stories from the Mahabharata. Now, in this story, this is from the Adi Parv again, which is the first Parv. And within the Adi Parv, there are many sections, and this is from the Paloma Parv. And what are we talking about? We're talking about a very specific incident today where Bhrigu, and for those who don't know, Rishi Bhrigu is one of the Saptarishis. He's also a Prajapati, which means that he's among the first mind-born creations of Lord Brahma from the Vedic age. And they are considered to be godlike in that they created everything. And also Rishi Bhrigu, being one of the Saptarishis, his other great contribution is he wrote the Bhrigu Samhita, which is one of the foremost texts of Vedic astrology. So Rishi Bhrigu is a very important figure. But in this particular story, Rishi Bhrigu actually wound up cursing the Lord of Fire Agni. Rishi Bhrigu wound up cursing Lord Agni, and that is the story we are going to get into today. So, again, I shall be referring to the translation of the Mahabharat by Kisari Mohan Ganguly done in 1896. This is from section 5 and 6 from the Paloma Parv. Bhrigu was produced by the great Lord Brahma from the fire at the sacrifice of Varun, and Bhrigu had a son named Chyavan. As a matter of fact, the word Chyavan Prash comes from Chyavan, but we will talk about Chyavan Prash later. We'll talk about the story of how Bhrigu cursed Lord Agni. So what happened was, Bhrigu had a wife whose name was Paloma, and he dearly loved his wife, and she was pregnant. So while she was pregnant, she was at home, and what happens is, with the great rishis and sages, every morning they go to the river, they clean themselves, and they offer prayers. It's part of their daily ritual. So he was away from home, she is at home, and she's pregnant. And while she was pregnant, at the door came a Rakshas. Now this Rakshas saw Paloma, and he was enamored with her. He didn't make his intentions known, but he presented himself to her, and since hospitality was absolutely mandatory in the day, she gave him hospitality. She entertained with roots and fruits from the forest, so he ate all that, but all the while he was burning with desire. As it turned out that this Rakshas initially was betrothed to Paloma. Her father had initially decided that Paloma was going to be wed to this Rakshas, but then later he changed his mind and she was wed properly with all due rights to Rishi Bhrigu. But now he's here, he sees her, he's got a lot of desire in his heart. He decides he'll carry Paloma away. And while he's doing that, he sees that in the apartment in their staying quarters in their cottage, the sacrificial fire was burning brightly, which means Lord Agni is burning brightly. Now Lord Agni, of course, says the truth. So Rakshas asks Lord Agni that, is this woman rightfully my wife, or is it Bhrigu's wife? But I feel she is my wife because she was first bestowed upon me. So since you are Lord Agni and you have to tell the truth, you tell me the truth. Lord Agni was in a quandary because of what will happen later. But what it is he can tell the truth. But if he tells the truth will anger Bhrigu. Not because the truth says that she is not supposed to be Bhrigu's wife, etc., but for a different reason. He keeps delaying, Lord Agni keeps delaying, and the Rakshas asks repeatedly, whose wife is this? Whose wife is this? Is she not rightfully my wife? Is she not rightfully my wife? And finally, Lord Agni says that Paloma was indeed first chosen by you, but she was not given to you with all the rites and rituals. But she was bestowed by her father on Bhrigu with all the rites and rituals. And this is that Paloma. When he says this, what he does is, then this is where Bhrigu got upset with Lord Agni, is he positively identifies Paloma to the Rakshas. This is the true identity. It's not someone who looks like her. It is not just someone you saw and you fell in love with, you think it looks like her. No, this is her. And then he tells the Rakshas also that I don't speak lies, this is the truth. So then once he heard this, the Rakshas took the form of a boar and he took Paloma and he carried her away. But she was pregnant, she was with child, and while she was, because she's being carried by a boar, there's such violence, she's moving all over, the child fell from her womb. Now, which is basically an early birth, and in Sanskrit that used to be called Chauti, and from there came the name Chavan, and he was called Chavan. When the Rakshas felt the infant drop from the mother's womb and he was shining like the sun, he dropped Paloma. He quit his grasp on the woman and he fell down, and with this boy's aura, this newborn boy, his aura was so great that the Rakshas was instantly burnt to ashes from the aura of the boy itself. And then Paloma, she took up her baby Chavan and she walked away. And now Brahma sees this. Now Brahma is of course Bhrigu's father. So that effectively means this is Brahma's daughter-in-law and grandson. He sees this and he is very distressed. He's very distressed. And then he sees that she starts crying. And this woman is absolutely faultless and she's crying because of this circumstance that is happening to her. And the tears are forming a great river. And this great river is following her footsteps. And seeing the river, Brahma says that the name of this river shall be Vadhusara. And the Vadhusara passes by the hermitage of Chavan. Later on when Chavan becomes a great rishi, etc. So this is how Chavan was born. Then Bhrigu sees Chavan and he sees his wife and she sees that they are in such a distressed state. And so then when he hears what happens, he's like, how did the Rakshas know that you are Paloma? How did he know? Who identified you to her? How can this be? Then she says that Lord Agni identified me to the Rakshas. And she tells the whole thing that, oh, the Rakshas carried me away. And then with the violence, my son fell and Chavan, and immediately from his splendor, the Rakshas was burnt to ashes. But Bhrigu got very upset and he immediately cursed Lord Agni. And he said that you will eat of all things pure and impure. How do we know it now? We know like fire burns everything. Fire can burn everything, right? This is the reason why fire burns everything. Because of this curse. Like I said before, the Mahabharata has explanations for everything. This is an explanation for why fire burns everything. Before this, fire was only used in sacrificial fires and things of that nature, for cooking, etc., for purposes. It is not used to burn everything. But now this curse has been there that you will partake of everything. Once Lord Agni heard this curse, he also got very taken back. He's like, "How you are a Brahman? You are a learned person. How can you do this to me? I'm bound to speak the truth, and I have great respect for Brahmins because I do such great penance as Lord Agni. I do great penance. I multiply myself into so many forms so that I can sit at the sacrifice of every Brahman. When every Brahman is pouring ghee, I am the one who's consuming that ghee, and that ghee is traveling to the devs or the pitris. Pitris are our forefathers, our ancestors. Because you give puja to your pitridan and all. So, who is consuming that? Who is the mouth of the devs? Who is the mouth of the pitris? That is Lord Agni. That is what he says. So I am supposed to take all this purity, then how can you say that now you're cursing me to eat anything so promiscuously? You can't do this. I can also give you a curse in return, but I have great respect for Brahmins. So why would you do this? But he got the curse and he got very upset, Lord Agni. So what he did was he withdrew from all the sacrifices, all places where any sacrificial fire was burning. Lord Agni is withdrawn. Now there is no sacrificial fire anywhere in the world. So all the great sacrifices which are going on, even small daily sacrifices, nowhere. There is no Agni anywhere. So all the Oms and Vashat and Swadha and Swaha, nothing is happening. They all get very upset, the rishis. They go to the gods, and with the gods together, they go to Lord Brahma. They're like, Lord Brahma, this is very unfortunate because the great Rishi Bhrigu has cursed Lord Agni. Because of this, Lord Agni is not like any normal being who eats anything willy-nilly. Even we as rishis, we take care to what we eat. We can't just eat anything. And now the great Lord Agni, who is has to be very particular about what he eats so that his purity is maintained. And now he has been cursed that he is going to eat anything promiscuously. How can that happen? So Lord Brahma then goes to pacify Lord Agni, and he tells Lord Agni, you are the creator of everything. You are the promoter of sacrifices. And what will happen if someone says something like this to you? Don't you know how to act accordingly, even with such a curse? So what then Lord Brahma says is, since you have been cursed that you are going to eat of everything, only the flame which is in your lower parts or your viler parts, impure parts, shall eat of everything. Only those parts of your body shall eat of everything. For example, the flame in your stomach. Why? Because even our stomach, it forces us to eat anything. In our brain, we might be like, oh no, we are going to follow this diet. But our stomach is like, no, I want this. And the stomach forces you. So the stomach is sort of impure. So this curse that you have, where everything you will consume, let your stomach have that. But let your mouth be pure. Let your mouth be pure, and let anything that go through your mouth be purified. So you continue having the purity when the ghee is offered to you at the sacrifice. You continue with your purity, and the impure things you have in your stomach, in the viler parts, the parts with more temptation. So on hearing that, then Agni said, okay, tathastu, so be it. And then he returned to all the sacrificial fires. This is the story, very rare story, of how Rishi Bhrigu cursed the Lord of Agni, to where fire now devours everything. I hope you enjoyed this untold story from the Mahabharata. I can't wait to see you in the next video.